thanks so much for joining us for one of our weekly Chevron-focused webinars. My name is Sam, and I'm going to be your moderator today. And in just a second, we're going to be joined by Wesley Boudreaux, one of our senior financial advisors. Wesley will delve into the comprehensive lump sum strategies with you to ensure your retirement funds last throughout your lifetime. He'll also cover the updated interest rates with you, and if you stick around after his presentation, he will also be answering some of the more frequently asked questions we receive from other Chevron employees. Before he comes on, I'd like to quickly remind you that we are not affiliated nor endorsed whatsoever by Chevron, so please keep that in mind as you're listening along today. We are a completely separate entity from Chevron. And after the presentation, you will be redirected to our homepage where you can book an appointment with Wesley or one of his Chevron-focused colleagues if you wish. You can also take advantage of that cash flow analysis. That is a complimentary service that we offer you to get you started on your retirement journey. And with that, I'm going to now pass off this presentation to Wesley Boudreaux.
All right. Thanks, Sam. Thanks for that introduction. And like she said, we're just going to give you a really quick update on the interest rates and how they continue to change month by month. We've got a little bit of a leveling out, and we'll give you a quick reminder of how that pension plan works. So again, first, who the retirement group is. We've spoken to a lot of you, but again, we are an independent financial advisory firm that focuses on working with Fortune 500 companies. Been doing this for 33, 34 years. A lot of that time has been spent with Chevron employees. So myself and a couple other advisors in the office are Chevron focused. What that does, that gives us the ability to have a deeper understanding of your benefits plans, whether it be the pension, the 401k, healthcare retiree medical benefits, life insurance continuation, things like that. Any questions you have, give us a call. We'll be happy to walk you through and help you on that. The biggest thing to take us up on, if you haven't done so already or haven't done so in a while with all the changes in the markets and interest rates, is a cash flow analysis, really a financial plan. That's a complimentary service. You spend about 10 to 15 minutes with us gathering some data. Give us about a week or so to put together a pretty detailed plan, get that back to you, and then kind of go from there and figure out, are you on the right path to meet your retirement goals? Could you retire sooner? Do you need to work longer? Do you need to cut your spending? Should you bump up your 401k savings? All those different things are available. And we do have offices throughout the country, so rest assured if you need to sit down with somebody face-to-face, we probably got you covered. But if you want to do a web meeting, phone call, email, chat, whatever your preferred communication is, we can definitely take care of you there. So let's go ahead and jump into the pension plan. So before I get into the payout options, quick reminder that Chevron pension plan is a classic defined benefit plan, in which case there's a formula that's derived in order to get to your single life annuity. So they look at your years of service, your final average pay, a multiplier, and a Social Security offset to go in there and figure out, okay, well, Tom's going to get $3,000 a month single life annuity for the rest of his life, as an example. From there, everything else is calculated, whether Tom, in this case, wants to do a joint survivor annuity to make sure his spouse is covered, maybe a period certain or a combination of those so that, God forbid, something happens sooner rather than later. It's paid out for, 10 or 20 years or something like that. One option that we don't see used too often is uniform income. That's an option where you can, if you're retiring and electing your pension prior to 62, you'll actually get a higher payment. And then when Social Security kicks in, it'll drop. So I'll go back. I just made up the name Tom here earlier, but let's say in his case, maybe he's got before 62, it might be a $3,800 pension. And then Social Security kicks in at 62, and then it drops down to maybe 2,800 or something like that. That's a uniform income, so it stays the same income across the across his lifespan. Then the other big question we're going to talk about today is a lump sum. So if you are looking to take the lump sum, that's all derived from interest rates, and we look at what are called the segment rates, the first, second, and third. These are PPA segment rates, which correlate to the first 5 years retirement, the years 6 through 20, and years 21 and beyond. So we'll get into those in just a moment. But Chevron's a little bit unique where they update these on a monthly basis. Most companies do it annually or quarterly. So you've got a little bit deeper insight into what's happening with the interest rates by using the Chevron one. So what they do is let me jump back. First and foremost, how much am I going to get of my Chevron pension? So this table is going to give you an idea, but very simply put, if you wait until age 55 or later, you'll be over that 55-point threshold, which you see in that very far top right-hand corner. So they look at your age and your years of service in order to get your points. So if you were, let's say, 55 and you decide to retire and turn on your benefits immediately and not defer them, then you'd actually be getting 75%. We've got that highlighted. Excuse me, 75% of your pension at that point in time. Where if you waited a couple more years till age 60, you would get 100% of that. So somebody who retires, let's say at 59 and commences immediately, gets 95%. Somebody at 60 is going to get 100%. Somebody at 61 is still get 100%. You're not going to go up from there. So there is kind of that that equilibrium point where going after 60 is not going to get you that much of a benefit, because you're losing the age calculations from there. You're not getting more age penalty adjustments from that point. Now, as far as those interest rates we talked about, take a look at the seesaw on the top. Just the quick thing to keep in the back of your mind always is when interest rates go down, which they did during the pandemic, you saw your lump sum go up quite a bit. So the highest lump sums we've ever seen. The flip side's happened now. Those interest rates have gone up and it's driven down the lump sums. The good news is we may have hopefully hit that peak. And the PPA segment rates we talked about, those peaked out last October, and they've come down since. They did kind of bounce up a little bit here from February to March. Not too big of a bounce, but they did bounce up a little bit. But they're definitely lower than they were before. Now, will they get back down to pandemic levels? Hopefully not, because that was obviously overcompensated. We dropped rates too low. Now we've seen rates kind of come up too high on the flip side. And hopefully through that course, the rest of the year, we'll start to see those lower, especially here coming through the summer months or so. But just to give you a quick idea of what Chevron does is they use the rolling average of the previous third, fourth, and fifth month in order to tell you what your average rate is going to be for your lump sum conversion calculation in the month that you decide to commit your benefits. Now, again, you can retire and then you commit your benefits. So that could be the next month, or it could be deferred out longer if you want to age out of those penalties we talked about. But taking a closer look at these interest rates, so we got the January, February, March rates coming in. So if you were to look at June, you're looking at 4.95%, 5.18%, and 5.34%. If you're looking at May, it's 4.96, 5.16, and 5.27. And if you looked at last month in April, we were a little bit higher. So if we go back to this, you'll see February kind of peaked out again because of that October peak, and then it's come down a little bit and kind of leveled off here for May and June. So if you're looking at retiring here in the near future, you're thinking about taking a lump sum, again, this only affects you if you're taking that lump sum. Give us a call. We can give you the updated monthly monitoring of this because it may be beneficial to kind of watch this month by month and then pull that trigger once we see rates kind of hitting at least a short-term bottom there. And we'll go over that with you in that cash flow analysis we mentioned. So again, going back to that cash flow analysis, right now about 3/4 of Americans over 50 don't have a written plan. If you can spend about 10 to 15 minutes with us gathering some data, and we can go through, update that for you, let you know where you stand. And that kind of ties into the questions around the pension plan. We can run it side by side. You can say, Wesley, is it better for me to take the annuity or better for me to take the lump sum? We'll have to go through a lot of different details. A lot of times people have their ideas, but we can run those side by side to show you how it plays out the next 20 or 30 years. And then also backs into, are you appropriately allocated in your 401k plan? Should you make any adjustments? Can you do something in an IRA, or do you need to wait till you retire? We go through all those different options with you in that cash flow analysis. And I know we kind of went through this quickly. I'll see if we had some of those questions come through. But again, a quick reminder, even though we work extensively with Chevron, we're not employed by them nor endorsed by them. But if you have any questions on this or want to dig deeper, just give us a call at 800-900-5867. You can reach us info@theretirementgroup.com. I've got a couple QR codes we'll leave up here for if you want to get into our LinkedIn to follow along on updates, or get into my calendar, one of the other representatives' calendars, to schedule something.
Thanks, Wesley. Thank you for that presentation. We're going to very quickly just answer a couple questions.
Sure.
And as a reminder, after the presentation has ended, you will be redirected to our page where you can take advantage of multiple resources we have available, one of which is the complimentary cash flow analysis that Wesley mentioned. And you can also book an appointment with him to speak to him further about your specific concerns or situation if you'd like. Alrighty, Wesley. Number one. Is purchasing an annuity with my lump amount preferable than accepting the company's annuity?
Okay, that kind of goes into that point I just kind of closed on, running that cash flow analysis to see. It's going to depend right now. It's a little bit kind of a coin toss, I guess. If we had this conversation maybe 6 months ago, what we were seeing a lot of people taking advantage of was actually taking the lump sum and going out and buying their own annuity, even if they wanted that income stream. They go out and buy their own annuity, and they were able to beat the Chevron pension plan by a couple $100 maybe, or they were able to, let's say, take a $500,000 lump sum and maybe only need, $460 or something like that to match the Chevron plan. So they had a little bit extra cash for discretionary spending, things like that. It's something that we can review. Right now it's kind of neck and neck. In some cases, depending upon your age, it might be a little bit better. Some cases it might be a little bit worse. Another aspect is you might have some other benefits you want to throw in there on an outside annuity. You maybe want a cash refund, so you know that you're protecting that principal of that lump sum. So in that same example, somebody might have a I'm just making up numbers here, but maybe they have a $2,500 single life annuity through Chevron, or they might have a $500,000 lump sum. They might be able to take that $500,000 lump sum and do the same 2,500, but have a guarantee return of that 500,000 in case something happened to them. So that might be more beneficial for their beneficiaries. Or you may want to look at cost limit adjustments, things like that, long-term care riders. There's a lot of different options to look at. So it's really just something kind of talk with one of us and go through, one-on-one. There's not a one size fits all, but it's definitely reviewable at this point.
Alrighty, thank you. Number 2, is the annuity taxed differently from my lump sum?
No and yes. So they're both tax deferred. It's always gonna be tax deferred. You're eventually paying taxes on there. The difference is if you take that annuity, you're gonna be taking that on a monthly basis. You're getting taxed on that every time it comes out. So let's assume somebody had a $4,000 a month annuity, and maybe they had $2,500 or $3,000 a month Social Security. Once those are turned on, you're not turning them off. So it's going to be fixed, and you're going to be paying tax on that. And unfortunately, we don't know where tax brackets will be down the road. And if tax brackets go higher, you've got no control over that. Whereas if you do have the lump sum, again, you pay taxes as you take that money out. So maybe you take it out monthly, just like you would the annuity, and they're pretty much apples to apples. Or maybe you decide that, hey, I wanted to have more tax planning strategies in here, and I want to take out more now when tax brackets are lower, get some converted to a Roth IRA and take that tax free in the future. So at the end of the day, they're taxed the same, but they're taxed when you take that money out. So that's where you have control and can get into some different tax planning strategies with the lump sum you may not be able to get into with an annuity.
Alrighty, thank you. Last one. When I retire, can my pension be deferred?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to that chart that I had showed up, I remember it talked about somebody maybe retiring at 55. So let me go through an example there. If we knew that rates were not going to move whatsoever, and we knew the market wasn't going to move, it was just going to stay flat for the next 5 years. If somebody retired, let's say at 55, then I'd tell them, wait till 60 to turn on your pension, because you're going to get that 5% guaranteed bump each year. Think about like Social Security going up each year you wait. So the Chevron pension would go up each year you wait until age 60. So if you retire before 60 and defer. But there's other variables, actually interest rates change. So if those interest rates are going down, that could drive up your lump sum. So it may not be beneficial to wait. There's the opportunity cost of what you would have otherwise done with that money. Could you get a 5% rate of return or higher, in a money market or even investing? There's a lot of things that kind of go through on there. But the simple question is, yes, you can defer it. The harder question is it beneficial to defer it or not? And that's where we run through that with the cash flow analysis.
Alrighty, thank you, Wesley. That was all of the questions we had today. We want to thank everybody for joining us today. We hope to see you on another Chevron webinar very soon.
All right, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Wesley.